First real snow of the season came, and it's very bitter cold out. I did not get out to play Pokemon Go today. And if I seem a little on edge, it's because of how cold out it is where I'm recording. The last time it was this cold, I had a little visit from a mouse. This was back in January. But that's a story for another time. I want to talk about right now the holiday season, because this video's going up on Christmas. How it feels being 18 with an extra 9 years of experience as an adult. So this season, I did not buy anything on Black Friday because between be no, I finished all those video games before Black Friday while I was getting ready for the Florida trip. Usually I don't really go anywhere because that was my first time on a plane in almost 12 years. But I went and did that this year. It was nice to see my grandparents. Did all my Christmas shopping online on Cyber Monday, actually. It was a last minute decision because I wanted to raise funds for the trip that ultimately wasn't necessary because I wound up cutting back on what I did. So, up until my senior year of college, I always had some kind of fun that I was excited for with it. I was a lot more excited about Christmas back then. I am still looking forward to it, but I guess it has become a little different. So, for one thing, up until I was about 21, I wasn't as efficient at saving up money, and I would save up for everyone's Christmas presents starting in September. These days, I save up all throughout the year. Right now, for the next cycle that just began this month, the amount I put aside every week is a little over $11 now. You can do the math. So yeah, basically throughout December from during the 2010s, it would be a time where I'd finally be able to do a little more for myself because I didn't have to put aside as much money in as short amount of time. But I'd also watch all the usual Christmas specials, and then I didn't really do as much with the Christmas movie stuff because during the Saturday movie system, there was a lot of other things I decided to put in for before Christmas movies. This year, I kind of overwhelmed myself, and I'll be lucky if I bring myself to fit in one more proper movie before Christmas Eve 2 days from now. Yeah, a lot of the time leading up to Christmas, I actually wouldn't watch that many Christmas movies on my Saturday movie system. In 2012, actually 12 years ago today, as I record this on December 22nd, I went to see the 3D re release of Monsters Inc. And I had the most obnoxious idiots about my age at the time, like high schoolers, just acting up insanely. It was very annoying. But yeah, around 2012, Christmas for me started to be about the big blockbuster movie that came out that I wanted to see. And of course, there was the family stuff. That was nice. That's always going to be nice. So yeah, this year I basically bum rushed a bunch of Christmas movies at me, and I realized that some of the Christmas content, whether it be the Rankin Bass TV specials or some of the movies, are a little dated now, and others are nice, refreshing takes, whether it's Die Hard because it's an R-rated action movie, Violent Night because we get to see Santa Claus do something you'd never see him do in The Santa Claus. So basically, this December was pretty much defined by movies, shows, and specials that I watched through because I wanted to fill the time, just like I did with those video games I played through in November to keep myself from going out and spending money. Before I left for Florida, it was the 2009 Christmas Carol movie and then The Holiday, which, despite being something a little different, wasn't all that good. While I was in Florida, I was able to watch Elf, the Jim Carrey Grinch movie, and National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. Yeah, Christmas Carol, horribly dated CGI. Don't think I'm gonna come back to that one again. The Holiday, meh. The 2000 Grinch movie, honestly, the oh yeah, for I went out of order. Elf, always a classic, even if Will Ferrell thinks that the costume is stupid. The Jim Carrey Grinch movie, say what you will about the weird adult jokes. It has more personality than the Illumination movie, I have realized, which is why the 2018 Grinch movie was the first one to go when I was deciding what to save for next year or beyond. Basically, I have the opposite problem in my Saturday system where I have so many slots and so much that I want to do that I honestly have a hard time deciding on some of them. So yeah, the Jim Carrey Grinch movie was entertaining as always. It was a good way to pass the time while my grandparents were at their volunteer dinner, and my mom and I were doing our laundry for the flight home the next day. National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, I thoroughly enjoyed because I guess it's a little more relatable. Not as much for me because I'm not married with kids like what's his name again? Chevy Chase's character. We'll just Clark Griswold. Yeah, and I don't depend on a Christmas bonus because even though it was pretty much implicit, depending on some kind of extra like that to show up, I don't think is a great plan. Clark should have just waited till he got the bonus, and if he didn't, accepted that it is what it is and moved on. That's probably more what it'd be like today because that took place back in 1989 when, the economy was in a better place and Christmas bonuses were more of a thing. Now, you could argue that his need to order the pool and to be able to show it off to the neighbors is kind of dumb, and I kind of agree with that upon my viewing of it this year. And after I got back from Florida, I started getting into other Christmas movies. I rewatched The Polar Express because that's now 20 years old. The Home Alone movies were entertaining as always. Red One was meh. Violent Night is honestly one of my favorite recent ones now. See, that's one of the few that I'm gonna keep rewatching for a while. Well, because it's my third time watching it, and the novelty still hasn't worn off for me. Not to mention, it's actually a pretty good story. For those of you who don't know, that's the one where David Harbour plays the Santa Claus who beats up a bunch of home invaders and such. Oh, speaking of Santa Claus, I rewatched the Santa Claus trilogy of movies and then the Santa Clauses series on Disney Plus. Those of you who don't know, Tim Allen came back and did a 2 seasons so far series on Disney Plus that takes place after the Santa Claus 3, and it's about him trying to find his replacement and retiring. It's a whole thing. It's pretty good. Does rely a little bit on nostalgia, but I did it because the original movie's 30 years old now, so it just felt right. I don't know if I'm going to go out of my way to rewatch the Santa Claus franchise in the future, but yeah, there was that. And then I watched that new Netflix movie, Carry On. It was actually really good. Better than most of the Netflix sludge that unfortunately was not enough to make me want to renew my subscription. So make of that what you will. Well, it's mostly because I'm just waiting for Cobra Kai's final episodes and then Stranger Things final season. But I digress. Yeah, and I also rewatched Spirited. That one's entertaining to me. Ryan Reynolds can do no wrong. It's basically a modern Christmas Carol with a musical element. But yeah, what I struggled to sit through this year, if I'm being completely honest, was the Rankin Bass Christmas specials. I literally just finished Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. I found myself going to my phone for a lot of it. I guess, I don't know, I've seen it so many times. It came out 60 years ago now. There's no jokes that go over your head as a kid that you can appreciate as an adult, like with Elf or with National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. No, wait, I think that one is more for adults. It just happens to be PG-13 by 1989 standards. Yeah, the Santa Claus, I think it's fairly decent, but again, probably not going to come back to it next year. Probably going to stick to more of the adult oriented Christmas movies. That is to say, those that are targeted at adults, not adult films. Nothing you'd find on the hub. So, yeah, I guess maybe I need to get out more. That active lifestyle my grandfather talked about for him and my grandmother, where they live in Florida. Well, for now, I'm going to be hibernating, and after revisiting Sonic 3 on my birthday with my friends and maybe going to the Museum of Science before that, because they are definitely not seeing it during the daytime. So I think I am probably going to simplify my Christmas media next year. Gonna try to fit in White Christmas so I can actually watch it properly because last time I watched it was Christmas Eve 2020 and I was pausing it and unpausing it to come up and down the stairs for something. So I want to do that. And I read this piece from the Daily Wire about how it's about America trying to return to normal. I don't know if they were trying to imply anything about that being connected to the election, but if I can look for that, it'll actually be worth the time. But yeah, honestly, throughout the years, most of the time for me with movies around Christmas time was more about the big blockbuster release that was set to come out, usually 1 or 2 Fridays before Christmas or occasionally on Christmas Day, depended on the year. So 2012, 13, 14, it was just the Hobbit movies. 2015, 16, 17, and 19 were the Star Wars movies that came out those years. And then 2018 also had Spider-Verse. Then 2020 had Wonder Woman 1984. Then 2021, Spider-Man No Way Home, plus The Matrix Resurrections and The King's Man. 2022 was Avatar The Way of Water. That's all I can. No, wait, there was Violent Night as well, but earlier in December. And then last year there was Silent Night on December 1st. And then, uh, you know what? I'm trying to recall what big Christmas time release was there last year. Oh, why am I blanking on that right now? I would have likely gone to see it on December 21st. Oh, right. Aquaman 2. There was also Migration before that, Wonka. Yeah, honestly, for me, movies around December, I typically thought more about the big new releases, the more recent ones of which I was less excited for, probably because I'm older now, probably also because they aren't that good. Okay, I liked Wonka last year. I enjoyed Migration. Aquaman 2, that was basically the beginning of the end for me deciding to get out of movie reviews so I wouldn't have to go to those for the sake of content. And 10 months later, Joker 2 made me way less arbitrary about that. Anyway, aside from Christmas movies and TV, it's not the same today when you have work and such. It just hits differently. It would probably be worse if I didn't have family to spend it with, but I have a pretty good Christmas day lined up. Well, Christmas Eve, I have one uncle coming over along with my sister, and then Christmas morning, it's I'm gonna go to Dunkin', have breakfast while my mom makes some stuff, and then I'm gonna have them pick me up and then head to another uncle's house to exchange some gifts, and then on the way home, I got my mom to agree to drop me off at the theater so that I could go see Nosferatu, and I'm hoping to see that Bob Dylan biopic, A Complete Unknown, because the reviewer I trust gave it a perfect score, so I feel like I really want to see that. I think the showtime should probably be finalized this time tomorrow, and I'll see if there's one I can fit in after Nosferatu. Otherwise, I'm probably going to go see Baby Girl, because there's a showtime that works out with that, and it'll be a good way to burn off the gift cards I just know I'm gonna get. I'll tell you more about it after Christmas. So the main points are Rankin Bass Christmas specials. They don't age as well because they don't have the adult jokes hidden in there like Elf does. They're far less relatable than the Christmas Story movies. Oh, I forgot about those. Christmas Story is obviously a classic. Christmas Story Christmas, I think, is a nice little follow up because it depicts the build up to Christmas through the eyes of adult Ralphie. And I respect they completely owned the fact that they recycled cinematography from the first movie. But yeah, I'm gonna leave it here for the video. Comment what you think of all this. Merry Christmas to those who are watching. Thanks for watching. Give this video a like, subscribe for more like this. I'll see you soon.